In Chicago, we meet Wesley Gibson, a white-collar office worker, fed up with his dead-end job and having to watch his monster of a boss stuff her face, angry at how everyone else just pretends she isn't a total devil just because it's her birthday. Wesley is almost at his wit's end and fed up with his entire life, especially with his girl who is cheating on him with his best friend Star-Lord. He recalls how his father walked out on him when he was just 7 days old and wonders what kind of man he was. We then meet his father, who goes by the name Mr. X, who turns up at a building to speak with a woman about tracing a bullet. The woman is shocked to see him, but he tells her if he wanted her dead she would be. As she is checking the bullet out, she is killed by a sniper from another building. Mr. X runs down the hallway, he turns and activates a strange ability, then takes off running at super speed, jumping across to the other building. Mid-air he kills the men on the roof, even bending a bullet. He then gets a call from an ex-assassin named Cross, who reveals that Mr. X is right where he wants him, before Mr. X is killed by a headshot. Turns out the bullet took a long-distance flight, with multiple layovers to get to him. We then catch up with Wesley as his girlfriend complains about the constant train passing overhead, but Wesley just wants her to shut up, so she storms out. He heads to work where Janice starts with her bullcrap once more. His anxiety begins to act up, forcing him to grab his pills and try calming down. After leaving work, Wesley heads over to the drugstore where he sees a man staring at him intently. A woman suddenly appears in front of him, telling him that she knew his father as the greatest assassin to ever live and he was killed by the man behind him. She pulls a weapon and fires at the man, who turns out to be Cross. Wesley begins to freak out. The woman pulls a corner shot and shoots all the mirrors in the store to block Cross's vision. Wesley runs off and almost gets shot, but the woman saves him by causing a distraction. He takes off running down the road, with Cross chasing after him, but the woman, her name is Fox, skillfully picks him up in her car and takes off. Wesley begs to be let out so he can get to the cops, but Fox is hauling ass and catches up to the sports car and a freaking ice cream truck. He fires at them and Fox returns fire without even looking. She shoots out the windshield and climbs onto the car, giving Wesley the best view of his life, while she unloads on their attacker. She tries disabling the ice cream truck, but Cross manages to fire curved bullets that hit their tire. They come up on a police roadblock and Fox activates her ability and flips the car over the cops, landing on a bus and making their getaway. Wesley wakes up in an unknown building where he encounters a few men, then Fox once more. He then meets Mr. Sloan, their leader, who immediately orders him to shoot the wings off some flies nearby. Wesley thinks he is crazy until a gun rests on the back of his head, and a man warns him to do it. With his anxiety building up, Wesley activates the ability and shoots the wings off the flies. To his amazement, he thinks it is impossible, but Sloan explains that what he feels is not a panic attack but a special ability that allows him to process and react to things faster than normal humans. Wesley pulls a gun on Mr. Sloan, telling him that he is crazy, but is reminded that crazy is having the blood of a killer in his veins and wasting his life. He introduces the team as the Fraternity of Assassins and his father was their greatest killer. Wesley does not believe a single word and runs out. He wakes the next morning, thinking it was a dream, until he sees the gun he had the day before. He runs to the ATM down the street, only to see $3 million in his account. Seeing this, Wesley finally realizes that this is his chance to leave his old life. Wesley is at work when Janice comes by and begins to yap her trap until Wesley snaps at her. He begins to give her a piece of his mind, and the entire office is in shock. He then picks up his keyboard and smacks his best friend across the face before marching out. Outside he sees wanted posters for both he and Fox before seeing her pull up right in front of him. He jumps in, no longer scared but excited to learn more. Fox takes him back to the fraternity's secret base, which appears to be a textile factory. He thinks it's a front, but Mr. Sloan explains that the textile mill is no front. Wesley wonders if they kill people or make designer clothes, but Sloan just asks him if he is ready. He says he is, so Fox takes him to see a man named the Repairman. Fox asks why he came, and when he doesn't give a good answer, the man begins repairing his face. Fox then takes the battered Wesley to see another man who appears to be a butcher. He is skilled with knives and tells Wesley that they are the best killing tools. Wesley is handed a knife and told to attack, but is disarmed and stabbed in the hand. He then wakes up covered in a hard white substance. The man there tells him that the substance will speed up his healing by days. After he recovers, Fox takes him to see the gunsmith to begin his firearms training and is shocked to see that his targets are actually real human corpses, but the gunsmith tells him that he needs to learn to put a bullet into a human. His next training is how to curve a bullet, which he thinks is impossible, until Sloan comes in and shows him how it's done. Fox then takes Wesley out into the field, pushing him onto a passing train. Wesley nearly loses his mind, before waking up in the recovery room. The next day, the assassins bring in one of their own who was killed by Cross, who is hunting fraternity members. Sloan reveals to the others that only Wesley is able to get to him and they need him trained. Wesley's next test is to catch a fast-moving shuttle inside a weaving machine. Fox tells him to slow time down, but he is having a hard time and gets fed up. He storms out and sees Sloan, saying he is ready, but Sloan thinks he needs more training. Fox then begins to beat the crap out of him, demanding to know why he has come here, searching for a specific answer. Wesley finally says that he does not know who he is, which seems to please her. Sloan then takes Wesley to his father's old room where he learns that Sloan was his dad's partner. Sloan explains how Cross went rogue and took out his father first. Sloan urges him to learn more about his father, which will teach him about himself. Learning of his history, Wesley is now motivated to become the man who he was meant to be, noting that he never felt more alive. He begins to train harder, aiming to kill Cross by learning more about him and his skills and getting his revenge. After a gruesome training, he can finally beat the butcher, catch the shuttle and race across the train tops with Fox. His last hurdle is curving his bullets, which he has a hard time doing. Fox then stands down the firing range, telling him to shoot the target. Wesley manages to gather his nerves and curve his bullet around Fox, to the pleasure of Sloan. Now a member of the fraternity, Sloan takes him to their biggest secret. He shows Wesley a woven cloth, telling him that woven into the fabric is a code that gives them the names of their targets. Wesley wonders where the names come from, but Sloan ignores this and hands him his target taken from the cloth. Fox briefs him on the mission. His target will be inside a building while they ride on top of the train, and Wesley will kill him from there. They spot the man inside and Wesley takes aim, but pulls away. Later, he wonders what the man did to deserve death and questions if what they do is right or wrong. Fox then shares a story of a man who killed an entire family, after a fraternity member failed to carry out a hit on him weeks before, which is why they follow orders and take out all targets. With this, Wesley kills the target without hesitation. He begins taking more hits, hoping to get to Cross soon. His next target is driving in a limo and Wesley is hot on his trail, but the man's car is bulletproof. With Fox's help, Wesley is able to flip his car over the limo, shooting the man through the sunroof before speeding off. Wesley then returns to his apartment, where Barry is banging his girl, and he kicks his way in to get his father's gun. His ex starts to berate him for not being a man, so Fox walks in and gives Wesley a nice long kiss to shut her up. Even Star-Lord agrees that that was dope. Wesley is waiting for Fox to get the car when suddenly Cross shoots at him then disappears. Wesley gives chase, shooting at Cross, who vanishes once more. Wesley tries to use his ability to sense him but accidentally shoots the recovery man dead. Cross then curves a bullet from across the room which hits Wesley. He wakes up inside the recovery room to see that he was hit in the shoulder. Wesley pulls the bullet out and brings it to show Sloan, as it is the first traceable bullet that Cross has used. He has traced it back to Eastern Moravia where the fraternity was born. He wants to go after Cross, and seeing that he is ready, Sloan hands him the paper with Cross's name and tells him to go. After he leaves, Sloan then reveals a paper with Wesley's name and hands it to Fox as her next assignment. Wesley arrives in Moravia and gets to the location of the man who made Cross's bullet. The man runs off and Wesley gives chase but is soon held at gunpoint, but Fox turns up to save him. Wesley demands to know where Cross is, so the man agrees to set up a meeting. The man brings them to a train platform where they wait in secret for Cross to show up, but the man runs away. The two give chase when Wesley senses Cross on the train and goes after him alone. Turns out this was a trap, as the man and Cross arrange to separate the two. Wesley is in the cabin looking for Cross, who ambushes him. The two shoot at each other with their bullets clashing. Fox, who is chasing the train in a car, manages to drive the car into the train to board. This causes the train to become unstable, and when the driver hits the emergency brake, the entire train begins to slide over a precipice. Fox is thrown from the train, but manages to hold on and climb her way up. Wesley is about to fall when surprisingly Cross comes to his rescue. Wesley, however, shoots him and the train falls into the deep gorge, getting stuck between the cliffs. Wesley has survived and is ready to finish off Cross, when he tells Wesley that everything they told him was a lie. He reveals that Wesley is his son, but dies before he can reveal more. Shocked and confused, he turns to see Fox there, who confirms that Cross is telling the truth. She then shoots the glass beneath them and Wesley falls into the water with Cross. Wesley wakes up inside a recovery bath in an apartment right across from his old one. The old man from Moravia reveals that Cross was always watching over him, and Wesley sees pictures of him as a child around the room. The man reveals that when Cross left the fraternity, Sloan began hunting down Wesley, and Cross was always trying to rescue him from them. Wesley is racked with guilt and swears his revenge. The man hands him a cloth, and reveals that Sloan began putting his own names into the cloths a few years ago for profit, which is why Cross left. Once Wesley deciphers the cloth handed to him, he realizes that Sloan's name came up in the cloth years ago. He goes to his father's closet and puts on his jacket, and finds a door to a secret room packed with weapons and other gadgets. Fox returns to the fraternity confirming that Wesley is dead. Wesley is going through his father's things when he stumbles upon the fraternity layout, and plans for an attack using rats with bombs strapped to them. Wesley turns up to the fraternity and rams the gates using a garbage truck. He then releases the rats, which begin to spread throughout the compound. After a few seconds, a massive explosion rocks the building, and Wesley charges in, guns blazing. He begins to speedrun the scene, taking out a number of men. After the fight, Wesley goes looking for Sloan but encounters the butcher, who begins to attack him with knives, even deflecting bullets. He slices Wesley up, but fails to finish him off and gets killed. Wesley then begins to scream for Sloan when he is surrounded by assassins including Fox. He reveals the kill order with Sloan's name and how Sloan used the fraternity to his own benefit. Fox asks Sloan to confirm this, but then Sloan reveals that each of their names came up in kill orders and he saved them. He gives them the choice to join him and kill Wesley, or take their own lives if they value the code. The others plan to kill Wesley, but Fox fires a shot that goes around the room, killing everyone including herself. Wesley wastes no time and goes looking for Sloan, who is already gone. A few weeks later, a man looking like Wesley is seen working in the office when Sloan comes up behind him. Turns out, Sloan is caught in a trap and is killed like Mr. X, from a bullet that traveled miles, fired by Wesley. Remember to turn on notifications, so you can watch more movie recaps like this. Thanks for watching.